Let's do this, one man. Is there anybody out there? Okay, let's just... damn it! Yeah, let's do this picture. I'm right here, I'm right here. Be with you in a minute. In a minute! Ma! Meatloaf! Games. I'm gonna follow the uh-oh. Okay, let's go, let's go. Eiliysum. Okay, they started. First game on the way. So it's 1.5 after last Saturday. And we have the Towers defense. So I played against both of them. And I've been on the black side of this against Mark. So f6. Knight f6, bishop d6. Bishop f4, okay. Usually we see here castles first, but bishop f4 is an interesting try. Usually that's the strategical idea in this line for white to exchange these black squared bishops and try and take advantage of his e5 square. So they exchange on f4. Yeah, queen a5 check. I never could remember really what the best idea was here for black, but these endgames, okay, probably they're slightly better for white, but black is not completely devoid of any chances. White would like to, if he can, play bishop b5 and capture this knight here on c6, and that would mean strategical advantage because he can take control over the e5 square. Let's get our energy drink. One man. This on here. So what has happened here? Castles and Esserman is thinking. So the time control at this stage for the first hour is 5-1, which means 5 minutes for the game and 1 second increment. So what exactly is going on right now? When the bishop move, can black take on d4? Knight takes d4, king e3. White could sacrifice a pawn, play king e3. Knight takes f3, king takes f4, rook takes e1, rook takes e1, and hope that his king on e5 will give him compensation. Right now that's the only thing I see for white right now. Okay, he plays king e3, okay. Knight takes, he's going to take the rook. So active king in the endgame. Black won a pawn, but white is banking on that his light squared bishop will be stronger. Maybe even rook c1 here, exchange the rooks, but then rook f8. So king e5, it makes sense. There are no real entry points for black on the c file, so we didn't need to worry about that. The king can come into d6 next. Any pressure on the f file can be neutralized by pawn to f3. So interesting. So 5-1, that means they actually have plenty of time. And we have an interesting rating difference here. Esserman is 2403. Eiliysum is 2582 here on chess.com and Blitz. So with 5-1 you can have longer things. The time difference is not going to be as much of an issue, because you can always recover with the increment. You're not going to get flagged. So if you have a winning position, most likely you will be able to keep that winning position. Note that white can never take on h7. Bobby Fischer taught us that because of g6 trapping the bishop. Also there's rook h8 possible. So rook d8. Now we could think about king c7 here, and then take the pawn on b7. So white might actually have the advantage here. This could be an interesting endgame actually. So he played rook d8, king c7, king e7 takes the pawn, and now we can also think about at some point taking on h7. So white's king is quite well placed, so if possible we'd like to push these queenside pawns with the king supporting them. So having recovered the pawn and having the active king, I have to say I like white. Okay, king b6, he wants to attack the pawn. King d6. If king takes pawn now, king a5 with some mating ideas maybe. So king takes a5, king takes a5, king c5. But can we play just b4? No, we can't. King d4. Okay, maybe you can do this. If king c5, he wants to play b4. King d4. Okay, so he doesn't even play king c5. So rook e2. So now white has the outside passed pawn, which should be slightly more dangerous, but maybe this is not so clear. So let's see. So I thought maybe white was slightly better before the position that we currently have, and so the thing is, maybe you could have pushed the pawns, just play a3, b4, and try and utilize the strong king on b7, because black couldn't really kick it away with just two pieces. So now black is having a long think after rook e2. So probably black will keep the rooks on. I would be surprised if he takes, because white's rook is really not so active. So if you play rook a1, that seems like a natural move. You can attack the pawns on the king side. So I'm not sure. It's hard to assess this position. My feeling was, in terms of predictions, I'm being asked here, do we have any prediction for the match? Well, before the match I thought that Esserman would win. I played them both, and I would say, okay, they're both very strong players. Okay, we see the move f4 here, thematic, trying to keep the black pawns on white squares. But I think the time control with the increment, it will be better suited to Esserman, because one of the strengths of Eiliysum is definitely playing fast and playing for time. So now I'm not sure about this f4 business. Okay, maybe you had to, but after g takes f4 now, white will have some weak pawns. But okay, there's a tactical point. If pawn takes f4, pawn takes f4, rook f1, we can play rook takes e6 check with discovery and pick up the rook on f1. So my prediction for the match is that Esserman will win. Even though we see a discrepancy here in the ratings, I think that's not really relevant. So rook f2. Maybe white will try and put the king on d4, play b4, b5. That looks solid, all the pieces are protected, but from there it's maybe difficult to see where and how we're going to advance. So rook a3. Okay, he's just stopping white from advancing his pawn, the b pawn. So if we're gonna kick the king, kick the rook with the king now, we have to lose some time, because with king c3, white signaled that he wanted the king perhaps on d4, a nice central square. So let's see, takes. Yeah, this rook a3 had one function, but otherwise it would have been quite passive. Now, this bishop d1 move seems to force bishop c2. Do we have other choices? I don't think so. So, looks like we're going to see the battle of two outside pass pawns. White can make a pass pawn with h4 as well, against two connected pawns. And in general, I would prefer the connected pawns. But however, in a king and pawn landing, I would prefer the two distant pawns, most likely. But it depends on the position. So, okay. White allowed black to capture the pawn on b3, and now instead he's going to get the pawn on g5. But this move loses the pawn on... Cornelia played rook b2 check, and after bishop c2, bishop e4, picking up the pawn on h2. So this allows white to keep the material equal, but on the other hand, I'm starting to like black now, because the pawn will just the pawns will just run here. Yeah, I like black now. Yeah, he missed it. He could have taken on h2. I didn't understand it, why I didn't do it. I mean, then you just have 2 against 1, and you don't have to worry about losing really, because worst case scenario, you can most likely sacrifice your bishop for the pawn, and then you just have to defend with rook against rook and bishop. But here we have quite an interesting situation. I would take black here, because we can also mobilize our king, and once we do that, the king goes maybe from e5 or c5 to d4, and then e3, and then we're just threatening mate. And also the rook on h2, it's behind the white pawns. It's we're stopping the h pawn from running right now, and now mate threats, and I think it's resignable right now. Black is going to win the first game, so it's going to be 2.5, 1.5. So yeah, let's make that clear that we started this match with 1.5, 1.5, because we played 3 games on Saturday before the server crashed, but now just e2, and he's going to queen next move. So the resignation button is the only choice, unfortunately, for Esserman. So Esserman-Ju takes the lead, and with the black pieces, and they already started the next game, Accelerated Dragon. So quick moves here, queen a5. I'm not really well versed in the theory in the Accelerated Dragon. So it was quite a decent game to start out with. I thought white was okay. He lost a pawn, but somehow he got counterplay, and it turned out that perhaps it was a pretty cool pawn sacrifice where he got the endgame and got the active king. Maybe it was accidental, but it was cool either way. And then I thought the white was doing quite well and should be able to use his has pawns, but it turned out that somewhere he misplayed it, and in the end Avenue had several chances to capitalize, and he did just that. So okay, can't really say anything too important about the opening because I don't play it, but I think black should be fairly happy here. Yeah, black plays e5. I was slightly worried without knowing too much that maybe white will try and play rook to e1 at some point and aim for playing e5. His pieces seem to be set up for something like that. So e5, knight b5, and now we take on f4 and knight e5. So black has sacrificed his structure somewhat. Knight e5 threatened the knight on b5, so queen e2 protects the knight on b5 right now. So it's black to move here. Bishop c6. It's a question always, you know. Black is sacrificing his pawn structure and some weaknesses for activity. So bishop c6, just a moment. So right now there doesn't seem to be any direct threats. White is taking his time here, and it's actually not so clear how he continues. Okay, I thought 94 as well, but then what? Okay, the immediate goal might be maybe to take on c6, eliminate the light squared bishop, but that does improve black's pawn structure a little bit. And we should note that, okay, this is not all free for white. He also has a weak pawn on e4, but in general white's pawn structure seems slightly better, but not by much. So a complicated game. I'm not really sure what's going on here, to be honest. Yeah, somebody asked, is this best of? No, this is they're gonna play for 3 hours. For the first hours they play with the 5-1 time control, 5 minutes and 1 second. For the second hour 3-1, and then for the last hour 1-1. So no set number of games. Although it should be noted that they started with 1.5, 1.5. So I'm just wondering if they're gonna play the 5-1 time control for 1 hour, or probably they're gonna do that. So just have a higher score, I guess. So what's going on? It's a difficult position because there are no real pawn breaks. The only real pawn break in the position is pawn to d5, but that is firmly under control. And positions with no pawn breaks can be really difficult to play because you have to play only with the pieces, and that can be quite difficult. So attack on the knight on f6. We couldn't put it on h5. Well, we could have maybe. Threatening knight c3, but knight doesn't stand particularly well here, and after some move that covers g3, we're threatening maybe g4. So knight back to d7. And after this pawn takes c6, I'm starting to like black a little bit better than before. Because we're controlling this d5 square, which was an issue before. And now we have good control over this e5 square. And we can also at some point play knight c5. And I'm wondering if at some point we can make the pressure on e4 count for more than the pressure on d6 or even f7. At the moment the pressure on f7 doesn't seem like anything special. So the time 3 minutes against 2. Evan played h4. I'm not sure I like this move very much because this didn't really give you any extra options, and all it did was give black the g4 square, and now he can improve his knights, put a knight on g4 and the other one on e5. And I'm not sure this is an improvement for white. So I think this might have been a small mistake, maybe a big one. And yeah, maybe asking for pain, like Wrench said. So bishop f4, I think knight e5 is an automatic move here. Maybe even bishop e5. It might be that we want to exchange these black squared bishops. So bishop e5 or knight e5 will be played, indirectly covering the pawn on d6. I'm not sure which one is better. So looks like white has misplayed this. My feeling before the match was that Esserman would be stronger positionally, and therefore with the increment he would be able to outplay Ellie or Evan. But I mean, you don't become the strongest or the highest rated player on chess.com for without a reason. So obviously Evan has many strengths in many positions. d5. That's a very aggressive move. That's not a move I expected. But the point is, I guess, if pawn takes d5, we take on f4. And once you take back, we take on e1. And we're winning material. And if bishop takes e5, queen takes e5, we're threatening mate. And it's not so easy to meet that threat. And if you play... okay, so he plays d3. But yeah, trust me, the other one looked worse. I agree with you, up and comer. I like bishop e5. Because it's all the white weaknesses are on black squares, so if you can exchange the black squared bishops for free, it's going to be very good for black. So g3, so now black is thinking about it. Black has a 1 minute lead on the clock. Yeah, he could think about d4, definitely. So knight d1, quite passive. Maybe he thought knight e2, then there's some issues on e3. c5, okay. I wasn't sure if this was necessary because we're giving away the d5 square, which might be... it's not a big deal, but it could be like an anchor for the bishop on d5 in some position. So knight f6. We really like black here. So takes... are there in tactics? Oh, knight e3. So he's going to win the exchange here. Nice tactics, but he gets a pawn for it, so it might be that this wasn't the best exchange that he could have done. So do we have any tricks? I don't see them. So he attacks e4. Now if e5, knight g4, knight takes, pawn takes, and h4 will be hanging. Yeah, he can't protect h4. Queen g3, rook h8. So white will probably go for something desperate here. Now we get h4 and... okay, now the pawns are equal, but black should be winning here. Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually ahead of the I'm actually ahead of the chess.com stream. So rook h8. Okay, he goes for the endgame. That's slightly surprising. King f8. Yeah. Okay, so white is trying to get counterplay actually on the queen side, but I think, well, I'm not sure. It's getting more counterplay than it should be having actually. So should we bring the rook around? Yeah, bring the rook to h3, pawn takes c5, we go king e7, c6, king d8. And we seem to have the pawns under control, and meanwhile we will try to swing the rook around and win the pawn on the a file. Rook h8. So okay, Evan only has 2 seconds here. So if king h4, rook h3 comes into consideration, but it's tricky, man. So excellent counterplay. I thought this game was more or less over, but it doesn't seem like it is. So now the question is, can we play rook h2, king takes f5, and just go g2? So a lot of pawns, but our king is well placed. And usually when you have your king in front of pawns like these, then it's enough. King e6. Okay, I would have played just king e6. I think that's enough. f7, rook. Yeah, that should be enough, but it's slightly tricky. But okay, that was even better. So he wins by resignation. If you have a king in front, it's quite good. And he's going to take on a6, just blocking e6, and just go from there. So again, we have the Tarrasch, and I'm wondering if they studied this line before the game. So c5, c3. So takes, f6, this is all theory. Knight takes f6, knight f3, bishop d6. So last game, bishop f4, he's going to do it again. Takes, queen a5 check, queen d2. Exactly like in the first game. So I'm wondering where they have the improvement. So knight e4, same as the first game. So rook takes f4, bishop d3, same as the first game. So I'm wondering if... okay. I actually liked white in this line with the advanced king, but it looks like Esserman-Ju wants to give it a go. Try and defend it again. So king e5. King f7, king d6. So... meanwhile, Atlanta 42, Indiana 37. So now he plays rook e3. This move I don't understand. Was there anything wrong with king d6 in the first game? I didn't think so. So king d6 now? Why not king d6? Exactly. And then we can play rook f3 at some point. Bishop c6 could be played here. If we take with the rook on e6... no, we don't take with the rook on e6 because rook d8. So we play rook f3 check and win the e6 pawn of the king. So really strange position. He comes back with the king to e5. So he wants to play rook h3 next move. Attack the pawn on h7. Which can't be attacked. Can't be attacked. So maybe he could have... no. He couldn't play rook h3 right away because of potentially some discoveries like bishop b5 at some point. So we're not threatening to take on h7, but now we're threatening rook h3. Okay, why not king takes e6 now? Active king and we equal the pawns. King takes e6. So there you go, bishop c6. Yeah. Okay. King takes e6, then d4. We're attacking the rook on f3, and yeah, g2 is, you know, we have to play rook g3, and then maybe bishop d5, and we're hitting a2. So strange. This is a really interesting endgame because white sacrifices a pawn positionally in the endgame, which is quite rare. So you could go back to f3 now, repeat the position if he wants. He could even go to f4 and hope that he's improving the rook somehow. Same position, but the rook is slightly improved because it can swing across the 4th rank. So he plays h4. Still really interesting because we have this positional domination by white, but he's still down a pawn. Okay, rook h6. We want to take on h7 with check. If that move, we take on h5, and we're still threatening to take on h7. So h6 looks forced for black. So that's what he plays. But here we can play maybe g4, maybe. I like g4. g4, rook g8, f3. We'll keep a king on e5. I don't like f4. I like g4 because we're threatening g5 right away, forcing a move like rook g8. Also, we would have stopped this. Okay, but okay, comes more or less amounts to the same, but I like the other one better. So next move, we're going to be able to play g5, and black might have some so at some point, yeah, bishop e2, we don't have to play g5, the pawn is still pinned, so we're going to win the pawn? Win the pawn! Took the pawn! Yeah, somebody saying here in the chess.com chat, you was dumb for repeating this endgame. Well, he won the game, but my impression was that white was doing quite well. So I was surprised that he didn't repeat the line where he took the pawn on b7. That felt quite okay for white, but this one feels quite good as well. So the question is, should black go for the activity here? Play rook c8. Probably it's too late. Rook c8, pawn takes h5, rook c2, h6. And we're going to queen the pawn if you take the bishop, but it's with check though. But note that after rook c2 we can always play bishop to d3 or d1. The rook moves and then we move the h pawn. Yeah, so rook c8, g takes h5. Okay. So g takes h5 will probably be played. After d4 we can play bishop d3. Aha, okay. That's slightly tricky though. So g takes h5. Okay, no. After g takes h5 we cover the g6 square. I thought bishop d3, rook d5 check, king e4 and bishop g6 check. But now that we took on h5 we're covering g6, so there's no bishop g6. Which would have meant we would have lost the bishop on d3. So probably bishop d3 is working here. No, because h5 is hanging up. So I keep missing things. Bishop d3, then rook d5 checks. So a nice resource by white here. So can we play h6? Okay, just plays king e4. Yeah, now if rook d5 we can play, well, h6 looks, well, then bishop g6, so king d3. Yeah, I like that. I like it. Oh yeah, I like it. The way you move on the floor. So bishop f3, he wants to put it on e4. So most likely, okay, rook d7 covering the b7 pawn. So now bishop to e4. Can we play that? And then h6. It's still tricky. Probably I take on e5, king takes and play h6. Maybe e5 was not good. How do you stop the pawn now? How do you stop the pawn? h6. I don't get it. Bishop takes a2, h7, bishop b1, king d2. Rook takes h7. No, I don't understand. Ooh. I just don't understand. h7, bishop a2, king d2. What is he gonna do? It just looks completely losing. Yeah, I like h6. Rook h5, why not h7? Where's the trick? Nobody understands. Yep, but your rook sack is too much. Bishop e1, king d2. You can't stop the pawn. I don't get it. So h7 now. Rook d8, then we make a queen. Ah, okay, rook h5 might have been a great move. Because now we go h8. He takes it on h8, rook takes bishop e1, king takes d4, followed by rook h4 check. So it's just winning. Make a queen. Queen the pawn! Queen the goddamn pawn! Queen the pawn! h8 queen. Oh, you can check on b1 first though. King c4 though. No, he has to take eventually. No. Yeah. Okay, it's slightly tricky. It's actually slightly tricky because he would have bishop and 2 pawns against rook and 1, which is probably bishop b1 first. So it's slightly tricky. What can we do here? What can we do here? Okay, he makes a queen now. So now we're gonna see. You have to go bishop b1 first. So king c4, rook takes. Okay, yeah, this is the only chance. He has to. It looks like a draw, but the thing with these is. Okay, what you do? Okay, he's gonna take on e4. We take on d4. And the thing is, we should try and keep the black king cut away. So what you try and keep the king away. So rook f8 check, nice move, keeping the king on the d file. So now we will try to advance our pawn as far as we can to b4, and then maybe sacrifice on b7. So can we do that? King somewhere, king b6, king here, rook here, king f7. We take, king e7 takes. So it's just winning, I think. We go king b6 and we sacrifice on b7. It looks like an easy win. Rook b8, take on b7, take on a6, easy win. So well done by Esserman. This was quite an interesting game. I have to say I quite liked it. So yeah, okay, this ending could be interesting, but the king was so cut away that he just had no chances. He had no chances. Yeah, Amadan 2013 says in blitz it's easier to push for time with the rook. That's true. But the increment makes a huge difference, and it's hard to flag somebody with increment. So that was a strong win. So it's 2-1 in today's deathmatch. They were 1.5 before, but now it's 2-1. Maybe I should keep score with. So it's 2-1, right? 2-1 Esserman. So now they played another Sicilian, and now we have a hedgehog structure, right? It was a Najdorf with a hedgehog structure. Well, basically a Scheveningen. So Esserman-Ju. 2-1. Yeah, it started as a Najdorf, but then you play e6, which is the Scheveningen setup of the pawn structure. The Scheveningen pawns are, you know, e6, d6. And usually in those positions you end up playing a6 and sometimes b6 or b5. So I was asked, do I think Ellie has a big advantage in 1 minute? No, I think actually with a faster time control, Esserman might be just fine or even better. He's very fast as well, and the 1 second increment actually makes a huge difference. It makes a huge difference because it's so hard to flag, and you can sort of take your time in some positions. You can check out a video that Daniel Wrench, he played Deathmatch, where he tried out the 1-1 increment stuff against another user here called Chess Patterns, and his opponent was using his time, you know, in critical positions, which you can't really do in 1-0, because in 1-0, if you're down 10-15 seconds, you're just going to lose the game. But with the increment, you can take your time at some point. So, okay, rook 8 to d1. Oh, knight takes c2. We have some tactics. What's going on? If queen takes, pawn to b4. And the knight can't move because the queen is unprotected. So, unprotected pieces. Pawn takes c3. What else? Okay. Can we make another move? I don't think we can. But white is up a pawn. We can take on c3. But then rook takes d7. So, bishop takes c3. Rook takes d7. We get 2 pieces for a rook for white. So I have this from Esserman's perspective. Well, after the first game, I simply clicked on follow, but I can so knight c5. Yeah, black is down a pawn, but he will have some pressure on the white pawns. Queen t7. We're attacking a5. If we can get this pawn, then I think I even like black. So I think we have to protect it, but then we can increase the pressure. So it looks like he's going to give up the pawn here. Over 9,000, one man. Yeah, somebody asked why always from Esserman's point of view. I can try and change it, but what I did was I followed Esserman when the match started. So we can change it if you want to have it always from White's perspective. So just, you know, let me know. So it's 2-1 for Esserman in tonight's match. I think we should just keep the score for tonight. I mean, they started 1.5. But that's irrelevant. That's like starting 0-0. So it's just adding to the score. No spaces in the link. Okay, it's fine this way, they say. Well, I'm actually rooting for Esserman, so that's why I keep it like this also. So let's see. Black is quite solid. Black is quite solid, but now white plays f5. Really going for it. He's going to sack the piece. Knight takes f5. Ooh, interesting. So if you take it, rook takes f5. f7 is under attack. If you play something like rook f8, then rook h5. And how do we protect h7? We can't really do that. So this is looking like I thought he would not take on f5. Bishop f8. But now what can we do? Maybe knight d6. Bishop takes, pawn takes, and then take on f7, and the knight on c5 will hang. So is knight d6 working here? Evening the score. Can we do anything? No problem, up and comer. I mean, it's like in sports. We can't all root for the same side. So what did he play? Bishop f8, queen f2, queen takes e5. Why not knight d6? Did I miss something? Go back. Knight d6. I'm not sure. Okay, he played queen f2, queen takes e5, queen h4, knight e6. So, can we play something like... okay, knight e7, check, bishop takes, queen takes, okay. f7 is quite hard to protect. Esserman is down to 12 seconds. If rook f8, rook takes f7, so he plays queen here. Ooh. I mean, this is looking like 1-0. Black just has no counterplay really. We can even play... okay, rook h7 looks quite good. We can play knight g5 though, but then bishop d4 check. Bishop d4 check ends the game. Yeah. So 2-2. 2-2. Took the pawn. So we're gonna have another French tirage. So I wouldn't be surprised if they completely repeat this line. So f6 takes, knight takes, knight f3, bishop d6, bishop f4. So this is what they played in the first two games, exactly like this. Queen a5 check, queen d2, takes, takes. Repeating the line, castles, rook h2 e1, knight e4, bishop takes e4, rook takes f4. I mean, what else is there really? Bishop d3. They're gonna go for this and then once again, king e3, knight takes f3, king takes f4, knight takes e1, rook takes e1. So now he improved with bishop d7 immediately and bishop c6. We can still play king d6, but the king is quite nice on e5. So f4. No, they actually didn't restart the score. I'm just counting. I find it easier to count it. It's 2-2. Yeah, so on Saturday it was 1.5, 1.5. So I'm just counting the score today, and we can add the 1.5 at the end. It doesn't really matter. So the king back to d4. White still has a positional advantage, so to say, because he has a nice blockade on the black squares, and this bishop here on c6 is quite bad. So after h4, yeah, White wants to play g5. That's a thematic move. You know, White is putting more or less all of his pawns on black squares, and he wants to keep the black pawns on light squares, and this will make black's bishop quite bad. So king d6, rook h7. So if we can't win a pawn here, okay, bishop to g6, and now we have to kind of protect the f pawn. I'm wondering if I think this line with the king on e5. I'm not sure I like it for black, but this position right here seems like black has done quite okay. But can we play king e3? Then maybe e5. I'm not sure. So White is thinking he has to play king e3 or rook h4. I don't think f5 is an option, because we play e5 when we have two connected pass pawns. Although, never say never. Never say never, he plays f5. I did not expect that move. The thing is, if e5... Okay, you're taking f5. Isn't White just playing for a draw now? Rook takes g7. I don't like this with the two connected passers here. Meh. d4, rook f3. And we're going to put the rook behind the g-pawn. And the black pawns, they have advanced quite far, so I'm not sure I like this for white. I think black is winning here. I mean, he's going to bring the king. We're going to control the g-pawn from g2. And maybe you can just play d3 now, just threatening d2. d3? Why not d3? Can somebody explain? d3 just threatens d2. I think he could have played d3 with a simple threat of d2 check, rook f1 check, and d1 queen. Because you couldn't put the rook on the d file, so I think white missed an easy win there. Sorry, black. Black just missed an easy win. But still, it should be quite winning. Should be quite winning. Maybe we need to control the e3 pawn, so maybe king f4. Yeah, I agree, Amadan. d3 looked like completely winning. I didn't see any way to stop the pawn there. So Hawks Pacers 52-48 at halftime, and Toronto leading against Brooklyn in the second quarter. So we're also keeping an eye on the NBA. Keep an eye on the NBA, man. Can he get a rook trade? Ooh, yeah, after king f4. Yeah, king f4, rook check, king g3, rook takes, pawn takes, king f1, d3, g6, d2, king e2, queens. Okay, black wins that. Black wins that as well. Yeah, it's a disappointment if if he doesn't go for any Sicilians. So let's see, did he definitely gave white more chances than white deserved. So now king e2. Now we can't advance the d pawn. And if rook check again, king f1, we have to stay on the g file. How do we improve here? King e2. King e2. I think black messed it up. And if king f1, we have a threefold repetition. So looks like we had some strange mistakes here. King e5 looks like an incredible blunder because I just couldn't see what could have been done after d3. So we have a draw. So in today's games it's 2.5, 2.5, which means in total it's 4-4. So another Sicilian. d6, d4, knight takes, knight f6. So we're gonna get probably a repetition of last game with a6, the Najdorf. So this is the Najdorf Sicilian. White has bishop e3, bishop g5, bishop c4. He goes for bishop to g5, knight to d7, f4, and e5. Okay, it didn't play like this last time, so seems like they're changing up the Sicilians with the black every game. But they keep on playing this line in the French Tarot. This crazy endgame where white positionally sacrifices a pawn. So this line looks quite dangerous for black. I mean, he has no development. Bishop c4. This looks really dangerous for black. And I wouldn't be surprised if he is in a world of hurt here. h6. Bishop h4. So this looks like some kind of version of the poison pawn. So g6. We have a question about the prize distribution. So they're giving away a total prize fund of $1,000, and the winner is going to get $750 and $250 for the loser. So Big Nosser says looks like a nice hold by Esserman. Definitely a nice hold. Tough game. good job to hold it, but Evan made some blunders definitely. Heyo to Cylinder Hut. Heyo! Foxy, foxy. Okay, now we can't take with a pawn because Queen c5 check is going to win the knight on bishop on c4. But now Queen c5 we can play knight e3, protecting. But what's going on? Black is off a pawn and he has castled. And doesn't look like white got enough. Can we play Queen d4 here? Is that a move? Knight e3, Queen d4. Doesn't look like white has got enough for the pawn. Well, okay, if Queen d4, we always have to watch out for some kind of bishop e7 at some point when f7 is hard to protect. So maybe I'm underestimating the pressure here. Looks like white has definite compensation. Yeah, it's really after pieces, but I don't know. We'll see. So Queen d4. Yeah, if Queen takes and pawn takes, and we have time to do something because the knight is attacked, so he doesn't take the queen. So now knight b6. Bishop f2. Okay, black has a lot of pieces on this diagonal. Queen, knight and rook, so quite threatening to put the bishop here. So we can even play knight c4 here, and black has to sacrifice the queen for 2p. No, he's just lost. It's just game over. Because the rook is hanging. We can't even take on c4 and get 2 pieces for the queen. It's just resign time. So bishop f2, a nice move. Queen takes d5. Okay, yeah, it's still hanging on a7. So yeah, I don't understand why he's playing on. They have 1 minute left, but with increment it's not even an issue. I mean, is it marketing? Of course it's marketing. It gets huge attention. A lot of people watch it, a lot of people anticipate it, so it's just marketing. And also it's a nice prize for the players to, you know, these players qualified, you know, because of their rating. So they earned their place here. So, you know, it's a reward for the players as well. So the only thing that white has to watch out for here is the back rank, and he's not gonna mess that up with 1 minute. Chicago Bulls, you know it. I'm also keeping an eye on the NBA. Hawks, Pacers, 2 points in the third. Toronto leading by 7 in Toronto. So back to this French line. We don't even have to look at it. They're gonna repeat it. So it's 3.5, 2.5 for Avenue. I prefer to say I prefer Avenue instead of Eiliysum. Eiliysum. So okay, we're completely repeating this line for the 4th time. The 4th time we play this line. After 20 moves, we had this position every time with Esserman on the white side. So rook e3. Rook to f8, pawn to f4. So white has a strong king on e5, but he's down a pawn, and that can be a problem in an endgame. Okay, he wants to play b5. If he can play b5, we're completely dominating the black position. All the pieces are bad. Why not b5? I like b5 here, yeah. Bishop goes back. Then we improve slowly but surely. At some point, maybe king d6 now. Why not king d6? And then we can support the pawn with g3. King d6. What do we do now? So bishop c8. So black is really passive. Quite interesting. Hello. So, okay, now white has to... black is passive, but we have to increase the pressure somehow. I mean, I might even like king c7. I mean, where's the bishop going? Just king c7. We're completely dominating. We can even play king here. Just move the pawns off the board. Okay, he's first gonna stop any play on the king side. Plays h4. And king c7. Why not? Rook has to move back. King e7, okay. Maybe even h5. If h5 pawn takes rook g3, we're threatening some evil things. Yeah, this looks... I really like... I mean, if I had to choose a side in this endgame, I think I like white here. Even down a pawn. This is quite an interesting line. And he just plays g3. He's just telling black, you don't have any moves. I'm just going to play g3. Please make a move. On the other hand, I would have liked him to activate the rook maybe through g3. But he can also do it through e5. Play rook e5, h5. And then either rook takes h5 or rook g5. So bishop d7, trying to wriggle out of this. So maybe... can we go king b7 and just pick up the pawns? Picked up the pawn! King might be surprisingly good on a7. I don't see any quick way to mate it. So king takes a7 probably. We could still tidy up, you know, not get pinned on the third rank. Play... we don't have to take on a7 just yet. We can make a preparatory move. Like bishop e2? No, I don't like bishop e2. Not sure. Well, king takes a7, rook c3. Yeah, I was afraid of this pin, but now we have a really dangerous passed pawn on the a file. Yeah, this is a really fascinating line, you know, strategically. It's an endgame, but we're giving up a pawn. Took the pawn! So here, he wants to play... Can't we just play take on e5? He wants to play bishop g4, but we play rook to f4, just hitting the bishop on g4. I think that's just completely winning. Bishop g4, then rook f4, winning. So this looks winning anyway, but... Took the pawn! So okay, what's going on here? So bishop f g4. Now if rook takes c3, pawn takes c3. I mean, can't we even just take on e5? Bishop d1, a5, c2. We take it, and we go king c7, and we just queen up e-pawn. It's like, you know, a Russian grandmaster will be like, it's winning. Okay, let's take. Okay, Karamnik will go. Okay, okay, I take. Second has pawn, king c7, queen the b-pawn. It's no problem. It's winning. Okay, so yeah, especially this one. Yeah. Why didn't he just take it? I don't get it. Now he's making it complicated again. Now you're gonna give him a passed e-pawn also? Mark, you're effing it up, dude. You're effing it up. He's completely effing it up, man. I can't believe it. Is he choking? Mark, are you choking? Now he has to give up the rook for the pawn? This is like a monumental meltdown, man. He was playing a great game, completely dominating positionally, but couldn't put it away. Yeah, that was not very good. 。  . 。  . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 。 。
。  . 。 .
. That was painful, man. That was painful. Completely dominating, but now it's down 4.5, 2.5, 2 games. And my prediction is going down the drain. Yeah, also they're talking about it in the chat, the winning line. Rook takes c3 and f takes e5. Okay, so another Sicilian. I didn't. It seems like every time. No problem. No problem. So what? 96. Oh, this looks dangerous. Check on the e file, but fortunately the 95. Okay, so really complicated line. I missed what they played here. D6, knight takes d4, d4. Yeah, some theory, and yeah, seems like everybody knows it except me, because I don't play the Sicilian, don't play e4. So most likely, are they playing 3-1 now? Did I miss it? Okay, they're up to 3-1. How many? I completely missed that we're playing 3-1. Is this the second game using the 3-1? I lost my focus. So, wow, this looks really dangerous for black. White even has 2 pawns for the piece that he sacrificed. But black has just no coordination. His king stuck on d8. So this is like horrible to try and defend in a blitz game. We can even think about, can we think about rook takes e6 and f7? Almost we can think about it. But it's probably not working. We can play bishop e7, rook f8. It seems to defend, but it was very close to working. Yeah. I was thinking about, okay, let's check Dr. Esserman. So, slightly losing focus on this game. I just want to see if this is the first 3-1 game. How can we see that? Lost. Can I see the time control? It was 3-1 the last game that they lost. And the game before that was 3-1 as well. So 2 3-1 games. This is the third one. The drawn game was 3-1 as well. So this is the fourth 3-1 game. Fifth. This is actually the sixth 3-1 game, and I didn't even notice. So most likely they used less time for the 5-1 games, and just continued the match from the point that they continued. Okay, so game on. Yeah, time flies. So okay, let's go. Let's go. So I didn't. Oh. So queen b7, white to move here. This looks horrible. Looks like we can just. We should have something. Can we play f7? Queen takes queen and rook here. Can we play f7? Yeah, f7. F7 just looks like resigns. Okay, need battery, need battery. So we can get battery from my goddamn computer. Just a moment. Need battery. Battery. This one that can unplug. You don't really need that screen. Not really. So let's turn this off. Well, there you go. Battery. Battery is quite important. So another Eiliysum. Damn. I'm sorry, I didn't really focus on that game too much. So back to this one. For some reason, I'm more interested in this endgame that I'm playing here. Keep repeating it, and I really like white, but he's not able to capitalize. Yeah. So this might be the turning point of the match. You know that he can't convert these endgames. He seems to be playing them quite well. Rook e3. They repeat that one. Well, I like the French line for white. I mean, he should have won last time, but it's 5.5, 2.5, you know, and 7-4 overall. Yeah, okay, this is the sixth 3-in-1 game. We see the score here, 4.5, half in the 3-1 portion of the match. So okay, G3 makes sense. It's not necessary. So B4 again. So now he plays A6, which looks like an improvement. Otherwise B5 was just too much for white. So white still down this pawn, but this bishop on C6 is looking like a big pawn for black. And that's the main issue, and white's main compensation is that he has a great king on E5 and the blockade on the black squares and the better bishop. So great positional compensation, but it's always risky to play for compensation in an endgame. D4 looks like a nice move, freeing the bishop, and now we're threatening to take on G3. Sorry, G2. So he plays G4, and now probably Rook D8 with some activity. No, E6 was hanging. I missed that. So Rook D8 he would have taken on E6, but now he can take on D4. At least think about it. We can also think about A4, but then I would be worried about some mating sequence on D5. But now he just gets a pawn on D4. Yeah, A3 was a nice move, maybe. So now the pawns have equaled out, and I would think white should be slightly better here. So he plays H5 now, just trying to use his pieces. I mean, the rook and the bishop are both pointing towards H7, so yeah, we can take here, maybe play G5, rook takes A3, rook H6. Ah, yeah, this is tricky. Yeah, D4, good point by Arakte that D4 has been a key source for black in these positions to free his bishop, otherwise he would be in trouble. So we get the D6 pawn, pawns are equal, but hard to protect the B pawn, so it just gives it up. Gonna put the king on E5 and put all his eggs in one basket. Put the lotion in the basket. The G pawn. He's gonna gamble on the G pawn. Yeah, Ali seems to have more experience in this line. I'm not sure if Hugh has any IM norms. His FM title is actually quite old. He used to play a lot when he was younger, but hasn't played much over the board chess, I believe, in recent years, just specializing in online chess. So will we finally see white convert here? Play g6, f5. The idea with f5 is to just not take on f5. We're going to play g6, and we want to get the f6 square for the king. However, it does open up the 6th rank. So f5. If takes, I'm thinking g6. But the problem is, okay, g6, king g7, and there's no rook h7 because the pawn on g6 will not be protected. So I'm not sure right now. Okay, these games are 3-1, so white has a big time edge. Of course, I completely forgot that the bishop on d5 is hanging, so we can't take on d5. So f5 is just a nice move here. Takes on f5. Just gonna kill the piece. Took the piece. Bishop takes f5, a3, g6. It's tricky. Tricky, tricky, tricky. Let's go Ju. Bishop takes f5, a3. Do we have time for g6? I'm not sure. g6, king f6. We can play rook h7 check, and then the king is on the back rank. And then we're just gonna play. Still tricky. There's rook b2 here. But we can take it. Yeah, rook b2, we just take it. And we're covering b1. That's not a problem. Okay. So king e5, tricky move. Because a2 we take it. King e5, tricky move. King e5. Oh, king e5, tricky. So, okay, we needed to improve the king anyway. So king e5 was a tricky move. So how to improve here for white? How do we improve? Okay, he's gonna play the rook against. Oh, he's gonna play the rook and bishop against the rook, and that position is defensible for the rook, and is, we could call it a theoretical draw. But on the other hand, it's notoriously difficult to defend it, and many people have neglected the knowledge. Why not king c7 and bishop takes b7? Okay, bishop takes b7 is coming now. Okay, so he's gonna torture him. The easiest way to defend is to use the so-called 7th rank defense. You put your rook here on g5, and just keep the rook here. Put the rook on g1. This is unnecessarily complicated. Put your rook on g1. Okay, and rook back here, and it seems like he's aware of the 7th rank defense. So, like rook f8, we play rook g5. No, okay, he actually messed up. He's losing on time. Oh my god. This is defensible, and it looked like he had the right idea, but messed it up. So the time ended up mattering. So it's 5.5, 3.5. And oh, look at that. e4, e5, knight f3, d6, d4, queen e7. Trying to avoid any preparation, and c6. So he wants to play some kind of knight d7, knight f6, a position that looks like a Philidor. Yeah, I agree. There was a very good video by Josh Friedel on chess.com on this endgame, which I watched many years ago and I found quite nice. Also, I would recommend the book by Jonathan Hawkins. I can't remember the name of the book right now, but just Google chess Jonathan Hawkins book or something and you'll find this book. Excellent book. I think we can go king e7 now. So trying to play a kind of positional chess here, black, but He's slightly cramped, so he has some issues to resolve with his pieces. And it looks like white has set up nicely. So black still needs a lot of moves to untangle. He played king e8 and bishop c5, that's his idea. It's a strategical idea to exchange the bishops, but he can't do it yet. So maybe you have to play bishop to b4 and then bishop c5. So I'm not sure. It's a little bit cramped for black. So bishop b4 maybe the next move. Knight takes e5. Quite nice. If knight takes, rook d8 check, king e7, bishop c5 mate. Ooh! Left hook. Boom! You just got knocked the fuck out, man. Knight takes e5. Nice tactic. I missed that one. And now f7 is hanging as well. Ooh, that's a big disaster. Big disaster for black. Me. This is just resignable. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like Marc is playing with some degree of tilt here in this game. He really messed up. Now we have rook takes d7 coming. Bishop is attacked. Bishop e2 is normal. Bishop b3 quite solid as well. Takes on c3. So what's the count here? Let's you know, take a body count. Okay, if you take a body count in Walking Dead, then you're gonna fail. Yeah. So he's down like 3 or 4 pawns with no piece activity. So he resigns. Put one in the book for you. 6.5, 3.5. And still to go for this endgame. So we don't have to comment until move 20, where they're going to repeat this line. So knight f3, bishop d6, bishop f4, blah blah blah. Same position over and over and over and over. So queen a5 check, queen d2. So if Evan is leading by a lot, it will be very, very disappointing if he doesn't play at least one Smith Mora. Left hook, bitch. Yeah. Boom. So, oh no, he changed it up. Bishop d7. No more knight takes d4. Okay, what about? Could we have played bishop b5 there? Just playing for the better minded piece. I think a3 was a weak move. Could you have played bishop to b5? I think bishop b5 was thematic. If it's not tactically, if it's not wrong tactically, then so 5.5, 1.5, which means 2-1. Knight g5, rook takes f2. We can take on h7 or e6. I'm wondering which one is better. So, what's going on here? Knight g5. Was that move really necessary? I mean, it's like he's okay, that was nice. Rook c2, and then he took an h7 with check. I missed that. So now we recovered the pawn, and we still have, I think, a positional edge. I still think if it wasn't tactically wrong, that white should have played bishop to b5 and take on c6. Then we cover the f2 pawn with a rook and play knight e5 at some point, and then f3. And white should have a positional advantage with a nice knight against a fairly bad bishop in that endgame. But okay, there's also always some options for a for a exchange sacrifice for black, but I didn't really see it there. So right now I like white in this position. The knight on g5 is quite well posted. Can we play g4 blocking knight f5? Maybe we don't have to. Maybe just rook c1, force knight c6 and then bring the king. Maybe not. Then rook f6. So he plays g4. This is played against knight f5, so there's no knight f5 right now. Rook there, so I think h5. Possibly rook f7. Possibly rook f7. Rook f7 was probably a better move. And then you move the rook. Rook f7? What does black play? Rook f7, the knight moves, and we move the rook somewhere like... well, even take b7 or rook c7, and we're threatening mate on the back rank, so rook f7 finally. But we could have played... this, you know, a move ago, attacking a knight with tempo. So he couldn't have played this move, g6. So he messed it up. Messerman. Okay, still up a pawn, but black is at least somewhat active here. And maybe we can attack the knight and try and take on d4, but okay, white seems in time for... Oh, could he have played... attack... He could have maybe attacked the knight, because we can take the knight on e6 and play knight d8 check. Okay, it's probably not more than a draw for black, but... yeah, that was an interesting tactic. Yeah. So white is still up a pawn. And he has the king cut off on the 7th. So should be good for white here. Maybe king g5, just go for the mating net. And once you start checking, we got king f6 and bring the king over the other way. The pawns seem to be well under control for white. We can probably play rook b6, just try and pick off another pawn. Rook a7 also comes into consideration, doesn't it? So he attacked. Why not king g6 here, maybe rook f6. So he goes back to g4. Shouldn't be an issue. Check. Now king f4. Why not king f4? I'm confused. King e3, okay. He's bringing the king around passively, but it's taking a lot of time. Why not rook takes a6? Yeah, we're up 2 pawns. Should be able to convert here. Should be able to convert. 6.5, 3.5, yeah. Yeah, white, yeah, must be winning. Meanwhile, okay, let's check the score in the NBA while we're at it. Indiana finally manned up and they're beating Atlanta by 17. And Toronto is leading Brooklyn by a point. Yeah. Yeah, you can just take the rook with a knight, so don't mess with the messerman. Can we have a comeback? Is it too late for a comeback? 6.5, 4.5. It's only 2 game. I mean, if you can get a good win with black here, you're gonna play this endgame again, and seems like he has, you know, he's getting the hang of this endgame, so he should be able to win. So I'm thinking this match might actually be decided in the 1-1 time control. So this is the last 3-1 game. Last game with 3-1 time control. Really important game for Esserman here. Really important game. And back to the accelerated dragon. So if he can win this one, then it's only going to be a point. So if he can win this game, like he did in the first accelerated dragon, then and it's only going to be a point. And in the bullet part, he can really make up some ground and try and go for the match. So it could be an interesting match. A lot depends on this game, but the most important thing is to not lose for Esserman here. So he plays e5. A strategically really risky move and committal, because you're weakening your position somewhat, but still he played the same way in his first black game and managed to do quite a good job. He took with a pawn. In the other game he took with a knight. I like white here, I think. I mean, this bishop is quite unopposed. This bishop is quite passive. We always have options of, you know, bishop g5 pinning here, and knight g5 increasing the pressure. So bishop g5 might be an annoying next move. So he plays h6, preventing that, which seems nice. In such a position, you always have to watch out for something taken on g6, because we have this annoying pin. Knight to d5. I really like white here. You know, much more active pieces. So it's quite nice if he can recover from this. I mean, it's not losing for black, but I just think it's better for white. Talking text. So pawn takes. Beam, 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 beam. So now he's down a pawn. Yeah. Don't like it. Don't like it. So by the way, in terms of streaming, I always announce it on my Facebook and also on Twitter when I'm going to stream. And it's at Sibit Videos on Twitter. And it's a YouTube, it's Sibit. Yeah, I'm losing interest in this game. White's just completely, you know, up a pawn and doesn't seem to have any particular difficulties to overcome. So a little bit of, let's go. Always nice to have some trolls in the chat. Right. So okay, the only thing going for black is that, okay, he's down a pawn, but this knight on d6 is quite a good blockader. But the downside is that eventually white will be able to kick it away with c4, b4, c5 at some point. So hard to see where the black compensation is coming from. He even doesn't have an edge on the clock, so I don't like it. Yeah. So really important. This. So let's go. Let's go. Rook takes h5. If pawn takes, queen check, and white has at least a perpetual. Queen g5 check is going to be played. So how do we bring the rook into the attack? Is he just going for the draw since he has a good match score? Going for the money. Okay, rook e5, f6, rook e7. Is that the idea, to play rook e5 here? We're threatening mate. But we can interpose on f7 maybe. So we play c3, trying to bring the bishop to a diagonal. So he might be giving some chances to black here. Rook e3. Now we're threatening queen h5 and rook g3. So can we do anything here? Can black do anything? It's really important not to lose, but it's +2 for Early. Okay, rook g8. Now we got king f8. And there's no immediate mate. King takes. Queen g5 check. Nice. Picking up a rook on d8. Queen f4. Okay, now we have at least a perpetual. Elie off the drop at 94. He's going for it. I mean, you're down a million pawns. Can you really do that? Can you really do that? I mean, how are you gonna mate? That's the issue. Even if you get like queen f2 and knight g3, it's still only perpetual. So where are the tricks? Where are the tricks at? Queen g3, queen e1, king h2. I don't see any tricks. I don't see any tricks, so probably he has to take a draw here. I think that's the most practical option, and given that he was completely losing for almost nothing. Okay, yeah, he had nothing but to take the draw here. So now it's +2 for Elie. 7-5. Well, tonight, so 8.5, 5.5. Sorry, 8.5, 6.5. So do we have? Okay, now it's +2 for Elie. So now the match really starts to heat up, and Elie, he goes for a different line. He goes queen b6. He does not want to repeat this line with the bishop f4. Okay, we can't take on d4. It's a well-known trick. We're gonna check on b5 or h7, given, you know, depending on where the king is. Can we think about it now? Maybe. Maybe. Rook takes f4 is always a thematic exchange sacrifice in the French tirage. But it just simply takes on b2, which looks quite greedy, but look out, we have queen takes f2, which looks like he missed. He might have forgotten, but could the queen be in trouble? I mean, we can just get extra greedy and grab the pawn on a2. So, black is going for all the pawns. Took the pawn! But white answers by sacrificing the exchange. This looks like bullish strategy, just trying to get something dramatic going. Can he take on h7? Can he take on h7? King takes knight g5. No. King g8, queen h5, queen takes b1. So can we start with rook a1? Doesn't matter. Okay, he can start with rook a1, queen b2, rook b1. At least repeat the moves and then see what happens. But this is not working. The queen is gonna be rook b5. Okay, wow. Wow. He's down a whole rook. It's gonna be too much. It's gonna be too much. But look out, after knight g5 we have the threat of rook h8 check. What can black do? He's gonna put the knight on h6, try and defend that way. Close the h-file. So knight g5, knight h6. But still okay, yeah. If rook h8 we're still defending. So knight g6, is that an option? No. He goes for that. Queen h5, knight h6. Okay, at least if you can't play knight h6, we have a prepare. Oh, knight checkmate! Oh! Boom! Left hook! He didn't see it coming. He didn't see it coming. Neither did I. Boom! Checkmate. Take it to the bank. 7-6. Oh, that was brutal. Brutal. Nom 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 nom. That was nice. So we're gonna play this crazy line again. They played it earlier in the match as well. G6. The knight has to go back. After takes. Shh. So that was an interesting position. And I'm wondering if rook h8 was working, but it looked like the swindle. But man, that was... Woo! Okay, so now it's a one-game match. Anything can happen now. Anything can happen. 40 minutes left in the match. A one-game lead for Evan. A one-game lead. Queen to d4. So black is just up a pawn here. Black is up a pawn. Yeah. So that was quite epic. So he just lost 3 pawns, sacked the exchange, then sacked another rook, and boom, checkmate. Yeah. Okay, let's go. So black is up a pawn here, right? Takes, knight c4. White has the bishop here, but bishop e6 is coming. Gave up 1 pawn, but bishop e6 will most likely consolidate for black, but there's always the option of like rook c6, bishop e6, take on c4, and bishop e5 check, picking up the d4 pawn. So rook c6 is what he played. Bishop e6. No, maybe take on c4 and bishop e5. I mean, a pawn is a pawn, so white's gonna be up a pawn here. Although a2 will hang, but we're gonna have pressure on f6 if you do that. So bishop c3 maybe, controlling d2, and if bishop takes a2, we go rook f1. Pressure on f6, which we can't overcome, I think. So we need a move here. Rook d to e8, attacking the e pawn. So rook e6. Trying to simplify. F5 and a3. Rook c8, rook e3. So black is down a pawn, but might be okay. F4, yeah. Bring the king to f5. And this could be okay for black, actually. So hard for white to move. So it gives up a pawn to activate the rook. He's going to take on a6. But bishop d5 attacks g2, and it's quite tricky. You can also take on e5. g2 is weak. Black has the advantage and the time advantage. Look at it. He's way down on time. King takes, rook. He's going to take on g2, then take on h2. Too many pawns. I thought he would take on h2, but maybe he wanted to trick him a little bit. Oh, rook c2. He was maybe anticipating bishop c3 check. So he evened the match. We're even. 8.5, 8.5. 7-7 tonight. Even match. Even match. Even match. So okay, back to this queen b6 line. Interesting that he's not going for this endgame in the bullet portion of the game. So rook e1. We're attacking e6. Still giving up the b2 pawn. Are we repeating this line? Rook e2. Okay, yeah. So that confirms that he blundered on f2 earlier. So let's go. Bishop takes e4, g6. This does seem to have okay, h4, knight g5. This is inviting, you know, I don't know what you're inviting back home here. You know, there's nobody defending the black king side. Really dangerous, but okay, white gave up the exchange, so still risky. Knight takes h7. Oh, really going for it. Really going for it. Really going for it. But he's down a whole rook here. How do you justify this? How do you justify this? Queen h5 probably, but then e5. It's a rook. A rook is a rook. We have to go for activity here. e5. It must be. Goes knight takes d4. Okay, that seems like a good move also. And we can think about rook takes f4 at some point, and then knight e2. Just trying to simplify. So bishop d7, this bishop is coming to c6. This looks horrible for white. So my prediction is Esserman-Ju will take the lead here. I thought I saw a beautiful mate, but I was wrong. I was looking at some rook takes f4. You know, bishop c6 and some knight e2 ideas, but they were not working. Yeah, being down a rook is a slight problem here for white. Okay. I mean, he got confidence after the first two bullet games, but looks like he got a bit too overzealous, and now he's just down a rook for nothing, and black is consolidating. g4. Yeah, it's hard to sack all the pieces. Knight. Rook takes f4. The knight is pinned. So Evan even has the time match here. So this is just gone. And that ball's out of here. So Evan will take a 1-game lead in this match. He will take a 1-game lead in this match. Queen f2. He had queen f2 and rook f3, which was made in about 2 moves, but he missed it. So eventually he found mate. Okay. So, okay, 1 game for Ellie. Let's try and keep score. And another accelerated dragon. So Esserman-Ju is up by 1 here. Quite an exciting match. Knight takes e4. Is this some blunder by white? Bishop c4, bishop f1. That was weird. He probably lost his... that was some kind of mouse slip. You know, you put the bishop on c4 and then you're gonna bring the mouse back, but you accidentally drag the bishop. So that's what happened. He accidentally dragged the mouse. So now it looks like Esserman is completely winning. Sticky mouse, sticky mouse. Yeah. It's being explained that, you know, if you click, you know, go here, and then you actually click on the same piece again, and then you accidentally click another square, you're gonna move the piece. Yeah, that's probably what happened. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But still, I mean, he's alive. I mean, equal pawns, but his pawn structure is horrible. Actually, I mean, come on, what's going on? He's still in the game. You know, active rooks, distant pass pawn. The main thing is he's down the clock. So rook e8 check. Take, king h7. We're attacking this, bishop b5 maybe. Okay, you can play this as well. So how do we deal with this for black? King g7. This is unbelievable. You can play bishop c4, bishop f1. Somehow I felt like he was completely losing, but he's still in the game. So okay, the thing though is it's hard to move this bishop because the pawn on a5 will be hanging. So bishop d2, protecting the pawn on a5, and now we're ready to move it. Bishop b7 maybe, and then a6. Why not bishop b7? Restrict the rook. Why give the rook options? I like bishop b7. Okay, but a6 is coming. Oh, you're talking c4 first. Okay, fair enough, but maybe you want the bishop here, you know, to support the pawn. So 18 seconds versus 8. c3. So black is up a pawn, but white has a really dangerous pawn here, and he wants to use his king. Bring the king to c4 and b5 maybe at some point. and attack the rook. That's what it does. King c4. His bishop is controlling these pass pawns quite nicely, so he doesn't need to worry about the pass pawns. c2, okay, we'll play rook somewhere. He goes back, okay, interesting. h3, then he's just gonna bring the king and pick up the c2 pawn, and then he'll go again. He'll go back. Black can't really do much in the meantime. Rook b7, a7, rook a6. Now we don't really need the king, now we push the pawn, but we'll still put the king on c4. We can. But now we need to protect this pawn and then play rook b8. But how can we do it? It's hard to do it. c4. Now we take on a7. So now it's drawn. Oh no, he took with the bishop. So protecting the pawn. So black has an edge here. He has an extra pawn. He has an extra pawn. Rook c3. But g5. g5 is coming. Takes on e6. Okay, now it takes on c4. Now it's completely drawn. And with the increment you can't flag this. In a normal bullet game, Esserman would have won here because he had 5 seconds against 3. And he would be able to primo him and just beat him with the primos. But here, with the increment, nothing can really happen. And they should just really shake hands and go on. So they should just forget about it and go on with life. And actually, since Esserman is behind in the match, he should just offer a draw and hope that Avenue takes it, because I mean he has to even the score. So if he's dragging out the drawn game, he's just gonna lose time, and then there's less time to play other games, which is just bad for him. So okay, on with the French again and queen b6 instead of the endgame line. So let's see what happens. Bishop f4. He likes to gambit this b2 pawn. Evan doesn't take it just yet, but he has been taking it after g3. So takes, rook e2 was played in the last game, but now he takes on e4. Pawn takes, rook takes. So employing a more positional approach in this game, trying to play for the black squares, but still he can think about some attacks. So rook b1, we can take on b7, attacking the bishop. And I think I like white with the activity. Long term, black is going to be good if he can get the bishop on the diagonal. Yeah, it's +1. Just draw, so 8.5. 7.5 tonight. So long term, if black can get the bishop on the diagonal, he's going to be good. But right now, I'm not sure. So what, rook f7, rook b3. So white is up a pawn, but things are not so easy in a bullet game. Especially if the bishop comes here on diagonal. Maybe he can play bishop c6 now, yeah. And it's really strong. If rook e3, we take on f3, e6 hangs. Where does the rook go? Where does the rook go? What does the fox say? What does the fox say? Rook f4 might be okay. He takes on c6, but you can't always sacrifice these. Yeah, make it bullet. You can't always sacrifice the exchange. Okay, it does have a pawn for it, the pass pawn, but still, you know, material is material. You can't always get away with it. Okay, d6 might threaten queen d5 check, so it goes there. Probably queen d5 pinning, that's my guess here. But no, the rook's hanging. Can't do that just yet. Knight takes d7. Oh, hang on a minute. If rook d8, then rook e8, which is annoying for him. If rook f8, he had played queen d5, king h8, queen takes a8, rook takes rook e8 check, which would have been a nice variation. But here, what's going on? This is not working. He can take, rook f8, and he's just defending. And white has to play queen d1 to protect the knight, which is an ugly move. And queen f5 is annoying. King g2, queen e4. Okay, he just goes for the endgame. I don't think that was necessary. He could have just pinned the pawn. Just queen e4. And then you can just play a5, a4 and take on f3 whenever you want. So that was kind of a horrible decision. Okay, it's still winning, but practically white take the chance. I mean, if white finds something here, you're not going to win. But either way, the other one was slightly more practical, but still, this is winning. Okay, you know, nice of him to spot it. If he spot a win, go for it. But he could have just played Queen e4, pin the knight, and white can't move anything. He's in strong, and then just bring the a-pawn further down the board. So now Ellie is winning by 2. The whole match score is 11-9 actually. Yeah. It looked like white was doing quite well, but he couldn't convert. So he's been playing e5 in these positions, right? So yeah, e5. So he's struggling right now. Definitely struggling here. I mean, the match, I mean, this game looks quite normal. Equal pawns, black should be fine. D5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Yeah, well, this hasn't really been working out too great for Esserman this line. Okay, 1-1 game, but yeah, okay, he managed to draw one game, but he was completely losing there. And yeah, I think the main feature of these games has been that Evan has managed to make this bishop on b3 a really strong piece, and it seems like that's the case here. The bishop are really controlling these pawns, which are quite nice. King h1, okay, good bullet move, I think. You know, just preventing any funny business with some checks and some tactics. So if white can make a move now, he will play b4. So maybe white must do something. But bishop takes b2, rook b1 takes b7 is maybe not ideal. So white has an advantage in the center. He can play d6 check, and why not just play b4? Just cement that these pawns here. I like b4. Why not? But he goes queen f7. Oh, this is really difficult for black. Yeah, we can take b7, but it takes a2. Now b4 we can play rook b8 maybe. So he plays c6, really dangerous pawns. Ooh. Ooh. It was made in g7, so we can take a b2. So up the exchange, and he's gonna queen the pawns. This is game over, and since they're both tennis players, we are approaching game, set, match. So looks like Evan is up 2-0 in a 3-game match. Best of 5. I'm just kidding, but doesn't look good right now. Does not look good right now for Dr. Esserman. Has to pull a rabbit out of the hat. Not much time left. Yeah, how much time left? Good question. Because Esserman is running out of time here. It should be like 25-ish minutes, 20-25. So they keep playing this, and yeah, he gets the same position as before. Yeah, 23 minutes left. A 3-game lead for you. Ooh. So we had this one before, but couldn't really convert this one. Okay, queen f knight no, c1 is hanging. Sorry, but we can take on c6, right? If I try and regain my focus. Rook takes c6 looks quite nice, but he plays knight d3, protecting the rook on c1. Nice move, and then he will play knight c5. This might be winning. This might be an excellent move here. Knight d3. knight g5, and knight d3 also covered f2, which was important. I mean, it was not mating, but so okay, what's going on? Knight takes f7, rook takes. Do we have any? He was looking for some back rank issues, but rook f4 looks fine. Yeah, resigns. Okay, pulling one back here. 10.5, 8.5 tonight, so 12, 10 overall. Rook f4, enter the game. So 2-game lead. So will we have a tie? That would be quite epic. So now we go for this line. Black is forced to sacrifice the exchange. Queen h5, king e7. We take on f6 first. That's important. Knight g6 is a mistake. Black should take with a king on f6. And he has actually an advantage. So white messed up the move order. He should take on f6 first. If you take on g6 first, I mean, if you take on f6 later, black can actually take with the king. It's hard to explain it, but you just have to trust me on that one. And the key there is that you play the king back to f7, and then it's hard for the white queen to come back out because the queen is covering h4. We can play e5, attacking h3. I played this line against him many times, and yeah, classic Sibit line. And usually I get quite a good position, though, although he's managed quite a number of swindles against me, of course. I'm an epic. You have to play bishop e8, which is an ugly move. So Esserman is playing the French. Interesting. I didn't know I did that. Maybe I just forgot, but yeah, maybe because I don't play e4, but I'm wondering if this is something he checked before. So rook e3, I'm not sure I like this for black right now. I think he messed it up. Looks like the chess.com stream is not working, but are we still here? Are we still here, everybody? Can I get a confirmation in the chat, please? Gonna get the confirmation. So let's see. Okay, in this line, black sacrifices the exchange, but usually it's quite okay. I mean, he has the bishop pair, some strong pawns. But in this particular line, he messed up, and I think he should have gone for king takes f6, which is a better line. And still, okay. Okay. So, one pawn for the exchange, and surprisingly, this tends to be... Okay, rook a1 now, so I'll take it back. Why not rook a1? I don't understand. Just pick up this a pawn. Pick the pawn! So now we can protect the pawn with bishop d3. You should have picked it up, because now at least black has some counterplay with e5. The bishop can protect and we can push the pawns. Put the pawn! g5. Okay, no. Too much. Okay, we have to try and get the king out of e4, because it's stopping the pawns. Bishop d3 check. Yeah. So, could he have played bishop b3 at some point? Hang on. Did he have bishop b3? I think Eiliysum is messing it up. Black is winning now. He messed it up. You can't mess up against Messerman. The d pawn will decide. He will take on g. Oh my god. Oh my goodness. What a choke job. What a choke job. Completely winning. He could play. I think he could play rook a1. Just take a7. No problems. So why did he allow the black pawns to run? I mean, there was only one sort of counterplay. The d pawn. Just place your king there. Take the a pawn and use your king. So epic choke job. So it's down 1 now. So the match is heating up. The match is heating up. 70 minutes left. 70 minutes left. So that should be like 8 games. So plenty to play for. Well, it's increments. So maybe 5 or 6 games. If that. So that was a crazy swingy game. So white just got a pawn here on e6, which looks like it's free money. But still, there are some issues. This is too complicated for a 1-minute game. You know, pin here, hanging on b2. We can take on e1, take on d4 in some lines. I do not envy them to have to come up with a move here right away. Do not envy them at all. So they played French. All the games where Evan was black. So queen takes e1, knight takes d4. I like. Okay, I probably have to play knight d3. Okay, equal pawns. Knight on d3. Well, then knight c2 picks up the exchange. So tricky situation. Can we play rook c1, queen e7? That looks like a risky move. Like rook e8. Then bishop takes d5. That's the idea. So it takes on f3 first, and now we can't protect. We can't protect the knight on c5. So queen e7, yeah, it just looked wrong, this move. This looked wrong on every level. So 2 games again. So back to the Sicilian. Back to the Sicilian. He should stay with the French. Just go king takes f6. It's a good line for black. But maybe he doesn't know it too well. So back to this line, g6. Okay, takes on f4 now. He played g6 in the previous game, I think. Oh no, he can't play knight e3. Okay, but he has queen d4, I'm sorry. Yeah, I got too excited there. I thought he was moving the bishop on c4, but he has queen d4. We had the same position earlier, but then white could play knight e3, protecting the bishop on c4. But in that case, the pawn was on e5, so there was no queen d4. So that's tricky when you play a lot of games and the details switch just a little bit. So then it's hard to tell. Yeah, probably was lucky to have queen d4. I agree. Yeah, somebody saying that in the chat. I agree, but okay, things happen. So looks like black has some pawns here. 4, 5, 7 against 5, and he can play b5 and avoid material losses. Then he should be doing quite well. Bishop g7. He wants to castle, maybe even king e7 might be a better move. Keep the king closer to the center to protect some stuff. So c4, yeah, b4, yeah, keep the pawn. c5. We hate to take it, but do we have a choice? We hate to take it. Our king will be wide open, but can we allow this pawn to advance? Maybe we can. We can castle. If he takes on d6, rook d8, bishop c5, knight d3, and we win the pawn. Yeah, he's going to castle. So is c6 an option? That could also be an idea. But I think c takes d6. We play rook after d8. So c6 looks forced. Attacks the pawn, but knight d3. And knight c5. What does he want to do? Okay, bishop takes c5. We always have bishop d4, either attacking a pawn or picking up a rook if he's uncareful. Now, it's tricky. Tricky. Ali has a small time match. It's not as important in. It's not as important in with the increment. So it looks like black is fighting for the draw now, but I don't think he will be able to make it. Can we play c7 and bishop b6? And then rook b8 seems simple. Okay, knight d7, but then we just okay, bishop a5. And the idea is to take on f7 and go bishop e6. Bishop c6. I think he could have. Well, this looks good enough. Looks good enough. Bishop takes. Okay, you will have some pawns, some compensation, but looks winning for white, who was already winning. It's +2 red. So this is +3 if he wins. And with about 14 minutes remaining after this game, that's gonna be quite difficult to overcome. Okay, a lot of pawns. He's gonna have to get a swindle here. Swindle time. Swindle city. I don't think he can do it. Rook takes e6. No, rook h8 mate. Nice. Nice. It's just mate on h8. Yeah. So he couldn't really do anything about it. So it's +3 now. Oh my goodness. So he has to. Okay, he goes for this queen g4 line. He played this against me. We had it on a YouTube video. I was totally disgusted with this line, but it's actually okay for bullet and blitz games, I believe. But So okay, White just wants to win the d4 pawn eventually. I mean, he's not rushing. It's like a temporary sacrifice, but now I think he has to play queen g3, protect the pawn. Then he wants to play h5, push the pieces back. So f6, breaking in the center, a typical French move, but he takes on g6, bishop f4. So it looks like he's always playing for piece control over this d4 and e5 squares, and that seems to be, you know, how he plays the French, trying to get piece control over e5 and d4. I hear that Feingold hasn't heard about this queen g4 line. I've seen it before. I'm trying to remember who played it, but it was some old master who championed it. So let's see. White is up a pawn somehow, but he has two knights attacked. So we have to take on d7, I think. So White is thinking he has a small time match, he has to use it. He has to try and use it. Is there a problem with knight takes d7? Is the problem that the knight doesn't have any square to retreat to, the knight on d5? Looks like it. So c4. What? Why give up a piece? Why not just take on d7? Okay, if you take on d7, then queen takes d5. The knight on d7 can't come back. That's quite nice. What happened? Yeah. So it's +4. Scheiße. So it's a 4-game lead, and yeah, unfortunately the interest for this match on my behalf is dwindling because it's almost already settled. +4, and I think we have only about roughly 10 minutes remaining, which means we might have 4 games left, but most likely, yeah, a lot of blunders, and maybe we have 4 games left. Yeah. I mean, he might have one chance. Shachi is asking. He might have one chance for a comeback, and that is to win all the games that are left. But there will need to be 4 games left. So, I mean, he has to win this game, and there's just no way around it. You have to win this game, otherwise you lose. So unfortunately, he's down material in this game. Completely winning on time. I mean, he has 57 seconds against 13. Looks like he's making. Oh, mate! He had mate on h2. Queen f2 h2. He's on megatilt, man. He's on megatilt, man. He's on megatilt. I mean, you can't do this with increment. You can do this. Oh my god. This was his last chance. He had queen f2 to h2. Oh my god. So instead of making it 3 games, he's down 5 games. Oh my goodness. And he had a lot of time left, so that was the last chance, but he just really blew it. Looks like mega tilt for Esserman. Mega tilt. Ay, 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 ay. Wow, I'm stunned. Because, yeah, he was just, I mean, he had 57 seconds. He was basically pre-moving almost everything, which is mega tilt. Man. Okay, so now with the match over, the match is decided. We have to have a Smith Mora. Come on, Ellie, you can do it. You have to do it. Otherwise, you are a PU fill in the blank. Yeah, the 1 second the 1 minute 1 second increment. It's just so tricky because you can't really go for time. If you have a completely winning position, you're going to be able to recover on the clock. So the 1 second increment just makes it a completely different game. And I actually think the match will be more interesting without the increment, to be honest. Especially on the bully games, because it's just... Okay, let's see if he goes for king takes f6 now. It's a better move. King takes f6. Come on, Mark. It's a known inaccuracy by white to switch the move order like this. You have to take on f6 first. Doesn't seem to know this line too well, unfortunately, because it's quite interesting for black and might even be good. So the queen is attacked. What's he gonna do? What's he gonna do when they come for you? Yeah, black doesn't seem to have the typical play for this line. Yeah. Yeah, this looks... It looks like, yeah, Esserman is just playing every move almost instantly here. Still on mega tilt, and I understand, I completely understand. He messed up some good positions, which would have given him good chances in this match, but he just missed them. So now, queen check, king f7. Can we bring the rook into the game? It's hard to do. Knight d4. At this point, it's just about pride and, you know, at least keeping your rating, I guess. Oh my goodness, wins the queen. Took the queen! Took the pawn! Yeah, I mean, okay, somebody saying Esserman needs better technique. Yeah, maybe that's true. I mean, if you blunder positions, then over and over there's something wrong. But I mean, bullet can be difficult. I mean, one day you're seeing everything, you're playing brilliant combinations, and the next day you're blundering everything. And this just didn't seem to be Esserman's day. And maybe, I mean, let's not take anything away from Ellie. I mean, he's winning by, I think, 5 now, so obviously he earned it and just played better throughout the match. And Mr. Evan-Ju is winning. So, but look at the time difference. He's really trying to hammer it home here, but unfortunately you can't flag with the increment. So white is going to be able to win here easily with 7 seconds. So yeah, I mean they're saying not a lot of time, but 7 seconds, it's a lot of time in such a simple position with the increment. It's going to be quite easy to finish it. Okay, Esserman on mega tilt to king to h for the King's Gambit. Okay, it's just gonna get mated here. I mean e5, h5. Oh yeah, h6 now. Or pawn takes f4 even better. Pawn takes f4 and queen takes g5. Pawn takes f4 is the quickest mate. No h6. Uh-oh. Yeah, now it's just silly. It's beyond mega tilt at this point. Beyond mega tilt at this point. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. So I see King E7 played, but I see Marc's clock running, which is strange. So something is not working. So there's 1 minute left in the match, so this will be the last game. Okay, so finally we have some moves. The lag kicked in there, but I'm wondering if 21 seconds is correct for white. Maybe his brain fried over from these moves. Yeah, and this match is coming to yeah, not so beautiful finish here. Esserman obviously emotional about the loss, and yeah, fortunately this is the last game. But I think Esserman is actually going to win this last game because of the clock situation. He has 1 minute against only 8 seconds. So I think Ellie is not going to care too much about this game. But position, in terms of position, white is doing better here. He has the better king. Black has some pressure, but I think the king position is more important. Rook f4. We can think about rook f6 and maybe e6 at some point. So e6 now. Rook f5. The king is quite risky here. Rook takes h5. Want to take on g4, but watch out for the back rank. Yeah, watch out for the back rank. Queen e3. Okay, this seems to survive. We can take on g4 though, which is winning a whole rook. And he should resign here. And I think that was the last game. So Esserman-Ju wins convincingly, I believe, with 5 points. Actually, I quit keeping score when he ran it up to 4 and 5. But yeah, this is over, unfortunately. Yeah, so the match is over. And my prediction was actually that Esserman would win, but I turned out to be completely wrong. And Esserman-Ju won convincingly. So well, I'm waiting if there's going to be an interview on the official stream. Looks like Esserman is not up for it. So Esserman-Ju is probably going to join them on the official broadcast, which seems to have crashed for me right now. So I'm gonna, yeah, I'm most likely just gonna finish this broadcast. And thank you all for watching. I'm gonna watch the interview on the official podcast with Eiliysum. I mean, if you have any questions about the match, quickly shoot them here. Otherwise, I'll end this stream. But I might come back later. I'm not sure. I'll hang around in the chat and maybe I'll stream later and play myself. But for now, I'm gonna listen to the interview, and I encourage you to do the same. And I'll see you later. Thanks for watching. Bye bye. So maybe I'll see you later. I'll stick around in the chat and we'll see what happens. So thanks for the 3 hours at least. Bye bye.